I gotta watch it again now. Thanks for
Okay,
mentioning.
so I mean, Van Richten brought us here for one thing, and now we're like trying to just solve all the problems in the city. I think there's probably too much going on here for us to get involved in everything.
I mean,
Well,
For
I
sure,
agree.
no doubt.
is what happened to the Baron. Like the workers have opinions that the Baron's gone, and so because the Baron's gone, industry's running the factory, and industry's wanting to kill people for human oil and all sorts of terrible things.
Hey, here's an idea. Augury. Let's
Okay.
ask Augury if we relocate to the Albrecher estate.
What a useless spell.
Now, are you gonna? You is this gonna inform your afternoon action?
It might.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and cast augury.
Yeah, cast Augury and say if our party relocates to the Albrecher estate, would that cause woe?
The answer is whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, fair then.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think maybe they are going to try to kill us.
Of course they are, but that's the whole point. We can stop them.
No,
I mean,
Victor, what?
We can
It's not
uncover the mystery.
A bunch of treasure and they try and kill us. It's
Okay.
whoa.
So I really don't appreciate that you went up there and told them who we are, and now they want to kill us. I said keep a low profile. Water under the bridge. We can't do anything about it now, but now we have to watch our step.
Were you not watching?
we've been doing. We weren't before.
It doesn't sound like it. You went up there and announced we're with Veritas. Here's our Duchess. Let's move into your rooms.
We only said that we would present the option to you and let you make the decision.
Okay. Well, my decision is I don't think we should do that.
On a lighter note, Jeannie, you're responsible for killing Fred, Dave, and Jimmy.
Is that their names?
I have no idea.
It is now.
I mean, my understanding of this place, Victor, is that they would be dead anyway. They probably signed away their flesh rights to somebody. And
Yeah,
it's just
but-
a pretense for them being murdered, so...
And
That's why I'm gonna go find out who they sold them to. But they died because you did something stupid at the factory. So let's be less like Victor.
Okay, quick question. Did you tell her where we're staying now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we need to go somewhere else.
I don't think...
I don't
think,
understand why this one specific person.
I think we're safe. I think the issue is just staying at the house.
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
She's obviously got the Baron captive, and you found out about it when you mentioned the noise.
Because the Baron hasn't been seen in a while.
Okay,
So whatever the deal is with the Baron, I think is a phenomena that is contained to his
you
manner.
know, for some reason, I just think that Evelyn just likes scolding people no matter what they do.
To be fair,
did.
we're all she's trying to herd cats. Some of the cats are armed with guns that shoot fire. Some of the cats can cause light
Okay.
and then two of the cats can teleport.
Okay, so let's recap everything we know about. Van Richten wants to help Jeannie at the university, but at the university there is something very suspicious going on with people's dead bodies being bought and sold.
Oh, that's not
That's
the university.
nothing. That's
The entire-
nothing. That's nothing dissimilar from what we saw in South Warren.
I mean,
Let's be real.
yeah, it's not. Like we're not here to fix this city. Like we can't. This is you're talking about coming in and undoing a decades probably.
No, I'm trying to figure out what's actually relevant to us. Do we think helping the Baron would help us?
No.
If you want to try and restore the city to some amount of normalcy, helping the Baron is probably the way to do it. We're not going to go convince the workers to rise up and overthrow the industry.
Well,
We're not going to convince the university to stop doing experiments on people.
okay, well, I
These the
mean,
means of production,
if
etc.
we're going to, if Jeannie's going to spend time at the university, I feel like maybe we need to unravel that. But I feel like we need to wait for more information from Van Richten first.
I will not sign anything. Like Jeannie holds up her fingers in like the scout, whatever, the North Warren Scouts, and says, "Scouts honor. I promise I won't sign away my flesh rights as
Okay.
part of the investigation." Like
Yeah, The issue doesn't seem to be people are disappearing off the street randomly. It's only after you sign away your flesh rights that you might vanish.
Well, that's not true. Ekon found their people were disappearing off the streets.
Yeah,
Well,
you know what?
they most likely had flesh rights, though.
You know what? If we're gonna investigate anything, I feel like maybe that is because that's just people being straight up murdered. I feel like that's something we should look into.
Like Jeannie's opinion is we should just continue our sightseeing of the city, enjoy our downtime, and just quietly wait for Van Richten to say something.
I'm planning to cast Ascending this evening since he's had his 2 days to find out how his research has gone.
Do
So
we
afternoon
wanna
actions.
analyze-
Victor's going to spend this afternoon learning who has the flesh rights of the 3 men who were executed.
And also who ordered their execution for the arms factory, if that's possible. Or who allegedly caught them.
Well, those are 2 different things. You can do one or the other this afternoon. Do you want to know who has their flesh rights, or do you want to know who caught them?
So for now,
I
it's
guess
going to be
the more correct way to put it is who did they confess to?
Yeah, for right now, it'll be who has their flesh rights.
Okay. So what is everybody else going to do this afternoon?
You want us to chase that lead? I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Edmont, you
Well,
want to help Victor find out who these 3 men confessed to?
Yeah, that I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. Yeah.
Okay. And what are the rest of you doing this afternoon?
Jeannie is going to. She's like, I'm just going to stay in and read. Thank you.
Stay in and read?
Yeah. Specifically the book that she stole.
And what about Evie and Ekon?
I think I am going to. I'll stick with Genie.
Stay in and
I don't
read?
really. Yeah, I don't have any plans until this evening when I talk to Von Richten, basically.
And what about Evie for this afternoon?
Let's see. What is the Erudite Cafe?
The Erudite Cafe. Let me pick up my notes here.
It's down the street from 10.
Oh, yeah, letter P. So it is...
The Stoic Club from Earthbound.
Yeah, here it is. It is an upscale cafe. You guys probably walk past it here and again.
Sounds like an interesting place to try to take in some information. Because it's not one of the places we've been to before, right?
Not yet. It has a reputation for having strong connections to... There is a farmers district in the town, in the city, but there's not like a marketplace or anything. Not a lot is growing around the city. The Erudite
imagine
Cafe...
why.
Yeah, me neither. We've all seen Captain Planet.
It's Midgar.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly it. As you approach Ludendorff on the world map, it darkens as you get closer. The Erudite Cafe has a reputation on the street for having access to fresh meat, fresh milk, fresh vegetables, fresh ingredients, when those things are in short supply across the city.
Okay, that is the most suspicious thing I've heard yet. I definitely want to see what's going on there.
Wow, that's the thing that drives you up the wall. Okay.
So you're going to go have a nice lunch at the Erudite Cafe?
I don't think I want to eat anything at this place. I want to find out if they do flesh rights.
You look at the menu.
Soylent Green.
It's all made with Soylent Green.
Yeah, she'll take in the talk of the town at that location for this afternoon.
Jeannie and Ekon.
Mm-hmm.
Word comes back to the Archman's Foot late in the afternoon that Van Richten will be paying a call on you this evening. He has just a couple last loose ends that he wants to tie up. So that word just comes up to your room as you guys are sitting up in there. Jeannie,
good.
the book that you stole,
It's
essentially a training. Well, it's written in Lamordian, so you'd have to have a way to read that first of all.
comprehend languages.
Okay.
Yeah, I can cast
It's
this. Ritual.
essentially a training manual for one of the laborers on the factory's production line. So there are some indications on like illustrations on what could be built and how, but this is not a schematic to build a cannon, even though some of the illustrations show large cannons or other types of weaponry.
Jeannie wasn't actually looking necessarily for the capability to build a cannon specifically.
Mm-hmm.
She was looking more for information on the setup and running of a assembly line
Okay.
to build. Like, you know, she was looking for like not the cannon schematics specifically, but like the process. She wanted information on the process.
Well, the complication is that depending on what object is being built, in this case, a long gun for a ship, the line has to be trained differently. You need an entirely new manual for each new product.
Okay.
You have
So-
to break down the process into individual steps and then train people on those individual steps.
So, like, this is obviously like this is like a way of doing things that I guess Jeannie's never thought about because, like, you know, labor like this is highly specialized for, in general, I'm assuming.
Remember that a lot of this kind of production back in the Republic was the purview of the great houses who all
Right.
command magic.
Right. So it's not something. So this is, like she's trying to basically she like learning how to make long guns and like setting up a long gun thing would be a bonus, but it's not the main fact finding issue here. It's like she just wants to like try to glean some information on like, well, if I wanted to set up an assembly line to make anything, what would be the process?
Yeah, this would be a good resource to have.
Right. That was her goal for whatever. Like, so if we go back to Brennanine and I want to build one of these assembly lines, like what would I need? And that's what she's thinking of. Or like if I want to do it in Silverbow, you know, like with the peasants we have,
Okay.
like what could we manufacture? What do I like, you know, that kind of stuff.
Resentment.
Manufacture resentment. Yeah. Well, she's already good at farming that, so she doesn't particularly care.
Okay.
She's probably not super popular in the town.
Evie, you say you're going to the cafe, but you're not eating anything?
I'll have some tea, probably.
Okay.
The tea is people too.
So
No,
go
that's
ahead,
possible.
mark off a couple of silvers as you have something off of their tea menu. But yeah, you watch people take their midday meal, and yeah, it seems like a nice little cafe. I mean, nice is relative, of course, but because you're still sitting under this smog-drenched sky.
But I don't hear anything suspicious going on here.
A lot of the chatter this time of day would be from people who work or study at the university.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I'll just kind of listen in and take in the talk.
Okay. And it's a lot of stuff that's kind of already been covered. The big talk at the university right now is that there's a push to expand flesh rights so that people who are alive can get paid for selling body parts.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, this practice is still illegal in Ludendorff, but some elements in the university are pushing to have it changed.
Okay, but there's nothing new to be found here, basically.
I mean, not if you're not going to have anything to eat. The tea is very pleasant.
You know, I'll order something, but I will investigate it very closely.
You do like a Gordon Ramsay dissection of your club sandwich. very fresh ingredients, freshly baked bread, crisp vegetables, fresh, well prepared meat. The food's not inexpensive, but it's better than what you were seeing slung in the alleys and streets coming out of the like soup shops and things.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like perfectly normal.
But no other place in town gets food like this.
The rumor is that the Erudite Cafe gets the freshest food, where it's a hard resource to come by quite a lot.
I don't suppose anyone here speaks Darkanese, like the staff.
The staff probably not, but one of the patrons maybe.
I would ask, where do they get their ingredients? This is so much nicer than anywhere else I've found in town.
Now, the patrons don't know, but they definitely agree with you. That's why they're eating here. Let's go ahead and mark off a gold piece to represent the food that you bought but didn't eat. And a cup of tea.
Yes, sir. Evie's very wasteful, I guess.
Victor and Edmont, please
Sir.
make me investigation checks. Before you roll, I will give you a +2 on this roll for each 10 gold you decide to spend on the investigation if you want to grease some palms.
Okay.
DC on this is going to be relatively high as well. This is not just a standard investigation. You want choice information about recently executed men. So, Victor, how much are you willing to spend any gold on this?
Yeah, Victor will spend. It's gonna be an investigation check, right?
Yes.
Victor will spend 20 gold for a +4.
Okay. And Edmont, are you going to
10 gold.
grease any palms? 10 gold for a +2.
10
All right.
gold, yep.
Go ahead and make that roll.
16.
That's going to be a 24.
Victor. The authority who owned these men's flesh rights, all three of them independently, not as a group, but three of them independently, and owned for a long time in standing. They were not acquired recently, but they were sold to the Greta Thorn Lamps Factory.
The lamps factory?
Yes, so they've owned these men's flesh rights probably for years and years. Edmont. None of the three men work at the munitions factory, but nearby in like related industries. Like maybe one of them was like a nearby apprentice to a metal worker or somebody who supplies the factory. Apparently, the three of them, very late at night, were invited into the factory by one of the foremen there. And that's basically what you learn. These men were invited into the factory by this foreman, and then that's it. The next morning, they were executed. And apparently...
Next thing we know is they had confessed and were put to death.
Yep, and then their bodies were turned over to the Greta Thorn Lamps Factory.
So what did they do to get selected?
Maybe not efficient enough.
Could be. We could try and ask some of the workers who might have known them. Maybe I would say they fell on hard times, but if they had no family, then there'd be no reason for them to willingly let themselves be killed.
That's the strange thing is, yeah, they're loners. No family, no friends. And as you guys return back to the Archman's Foot this afternoon, word is waiting that Van Richten's going to be there this evening. I'm just going to helpfully assume that everybody's evening action is going to be to meet with Van Richten and progress the main plot.
Yeah.
Anything else? Real quick, does anything want to happen before then?
I mean, Victor wants to go try and start a revolt, but...
You can't do that and meet with Van Richten at the same time.
Yeah, that's a long-term project.
He'll save the... I mean, Victor will go around and kind of talk amongst the workers at the various spots where the workers hang out about this plan that the university's trying to push to let them sell body parts. No, not this evening, but you said anything before this evening, so.
Van Richten arrives back to the Archman's Foot. Well, he's not back to. This is the first time he's come here. And so, how do you all find the city of Ludendorff?
Distasteful.
How so?
It's dirty. They don't seem to be producing anything but dirt, and the people are like the whole flesh rights thing is
Human
kind of-
trafficking.
yeah. It's not it's something that we have a personal familial distaste for.
It's a very unseelie place.
Well, I admit there was a slight complication with my contacts at the university, he tells Jeannie.
Did his flesh rights get collected?
He says that his contact works in the speculative anatomy department. That was where he thought they could find some help with Jeannie's condition. As it happens, though, Jeannie's cousins had I guess altercation is the wrong word, but made themselves known to one of the forefront personnel of that department, Emanuel Schulberg. So
Oof.
now it's going to be a little more complicated because Emanuel is going to be made aware that the people that he thought he met at the university were not who they said they were.
How do you know that?
Because you guys presented yourselves as dirt farmers from Darkon, and you're not?
Yeah, but we haven't told anybody we're not.
No, but you'll have to when Jeannie goes in there.
So the two of you are not going to the university, I guess.
Yeah, we can just not go. How's that a problem?
He doesn't scold you at all for visiting the university after he advised you not to.
Evie does cross her arms in a huff, though.
Of course, she does. That's just her natural state of being.
So
Yeah.
Maybe if we'd been given more explicit directions on who not to talk to.
we literally told you don't go to the university, Victor.
Why do you think I haven't gone to the university?
Like the instructions were
Went to
put
the university.
like what?
He
In my
specifically said,
defense-
don't think you can just go down there and ask for information. That is not how this place works.
It'll make things more difficult.
In my defense, would you have left Victor to his own devices?
And Jeannie looks Edmont straight in the eye and says, "Edmont, I find you blameless in this whole thing, squarely
Yeah, you know
because
what?
Victor is involved."
Well,
At least we didn't blow up the university.
here's the nature of the complication, Jeannie.
Mm-hmm.
Van Richten's, in his caution, his secondary contact is a man named Mueller Brahms. Mueller Brahms also works in the speculative anatomy department, doing a lot of high concept experiments, whereas Emmanuel is the guy who's out there talking to people and expounding the findings and virtues of his department. Brahms is the man down in the trenches actually conducting whatever experiments need conducting.
Mm-hmm.
The misstep was that Brahms, after made aware of the nature of Van Richten's requests, wants to include Dr. Mordenheim in the examination.
Dr. Mordenheim is
Victor Mordenheim is the luminaire. She's the one that the university's golden child.
Is this a bad thing?
I've not heard anything about her that I like.
All we've heard about her is that something about lightning, like in the clock tower.
I would think you'd want to talk to her, Jeannie, after that whole electricity stuff way back when.
I mean,
She seems to know like she might know something.
Van Richten thinks that perhaps the Dr. Mordenheim, could be an extremely valuable asset. She is undoubtedly extremely skilled in all manners of sciences, including bizarre forms of anatomy. However, any investigation that Victra Mordenheim appoints herself to becomes very high profile. This is no longer an examination to be done on the down low, so to speak.
Well, there's nothing to it then.
Well, he's giving you the option to go with either Emmanuel, knowing that Victor and Edmont have already interfaced with him, or going with his other contact, Brahms, knowing that the Luminaire will then be involved.
Does he think it's going to be a complication if Edmont and I just don't go with Jeannie for her examination?
It depends. His worry is that causing offense to Emanuel Schulberg might poison the well, so to speak. If it gets out that the two of you were deceptive, that you played him in any way, he's not aware of the full story. But Emmanuel won't be happy to learn that the target of his current investigation, his two cousins had gone in the previous day.
Hey, we helped him build his argument.
Yes, but we ghosted him when he offered to very graciously.
We said we'd think about it.
So, like, what kind of person, like, what is your opinion? What is Mordenkainen's? What is Van Richt? Mordenkainen is a different character. What is Van Richten's opinion of Dr. Victra?
He hasn't had the pleasure of her acquaintance. He doesn't know her personally, only by reputation, and her reputation is immaculate. He cautions, though, that a lot of what is taught as the physical sciences in Ludendorff University, as you no doubt have already speculated, in other realms would be things that are considered horrifying. The kinds of science that she's into and has received accolades for gives him pause. That said, there may be no better person for your particular predicament.
Jeannie nods her head and says, "Yeah, we'll go with the expert, I guess." So basically, what the player is saying is, "F me up, fam."
Concern. I think the concern that's being raised is, it's like, do we want this situation that our family finds ourselves in high profile or not? Is kind of what I'm hearing.
Well, I think
like
it's more that Treble has read his thumb through the book and knows who Victra Mordenheim is.
No, I haven't. I've been reading a comic called The Orphan of Agony Isle.
I mean, I think we could all guess how terrible she's going to be, but
No one in Ravenloft is nice.
Yeah.
this is the second F Me Up fam we've got.
But I still haven't read Van Richten's guide past that one entry about the carnival.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, so you bought it, you just have declined to read it.
Yeah, I declined to read it while we're doing that. But I did want to, the only thing I read was that entry on the carnival because of Witchlight. And, but I am reading, I have been, keeping up with a monthly comic called The Orphan of Agony Isle.
Is that a Ravenloft comic?
It is a Ravenloft comic.
Okay,
it's
so
about Dr.
Victor
Victra it's about Dr. Victra in specific.
Okay. But yeah, Van Richten can make the arrangements. Right now, it's his understanding that Dr. Mordenheim is splitting her attention between some extremely important experiment that's been running for months and months and months now that is drawing a lot of her attention at the university, and duties at the Aubricker estate that continuously pull her away from there.
Wait, she's
He has ties to
working
the
at the Aubricker
Allbreakers.
estate?
John and I paid a call on the Albrecker estate, and we're very curious as to some of the noise that was happening that seemed to just be ignored.
Well, Van Richten's advice is unless your family has direct dealings to be done with the Baron, to leave that well enough alone. That's not why you're here.
That's what I keep telling them.
Okay, so I'm just gonna tell Dr. Van Richten, would there be any reason that the Allbrookers would wish harm on our family?
He can't imagine why. They don't know who you are.
Okay, well, say that some of our family members can't take good advice, and they went and announced our presence to the Allbreaker estate.
He shrugs. He still doesn't see why they would wish you any harm unless they went. I mean, he did hear that there was some to-do at the munitions factory the other night.
All right, well, I cast a spell, and my magic warned me of harm if they offered us rooms, and the spell warned me of harm if we were to relocate to those rooms.
And he can't speak to how much trust you should place into your augury or not. That's not really his purview.
I think we're fine as long as we don't go stay the night there, Evie.
Okay, well, now we're finding out that Mordenheim has ties to them. So now there's like a conjunction of people who might want to hurt us.
So the thing is so this is Jeannie's thought. Her thought process. One, Victor ruined the thing already. Like the other well. He poisoned that well.
Mm-hmm.
with his shenanigans and trying to like lead that man on. So instead of going that route, let's go the other route, because like Jeannie is of an opinion of when you get the most talented, you should always go with the most talented expert in a field, right? So so we have the most talented expert in the field, and we might as well take advantage of her.
You want the best, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if something bad happens, you bust in and you burn the university down.
If I believe that Evie is in danger, I would burn that whole place down. I'm going to tell Doc Van Richter that. If I believe that my sister is being harmed, I'll kill everyone between me and her.
But he advises against that for sure. That would go very badly for you very quickly.
I would imagine
Why?
You would take your own visit to
Would attacking the universe...
Mordenheim's chair, as it were.
Wait. No, what sort of defenses do they have if it would be that bad that quickly?
Have you seen the guns on the ships?
The ships riding in the harbor? If Mordenheim does something to Jeannie and Evie goes ballistic and kills her, how would they respond?
Well, I'm not saying you go in and you kill her. I'm saying you get me out. That's what I'm saying.
I don't want to... I will save my sister if she is in danger.
Van Richten gives his assurance because he hasn't met Mordenheim specifically, but his man Brahms is a close acquaintance who he's worked with in the past. As long as you don't present yourselves as a deterrent to the doctor's either of the two things she's working on, either her personal experiments that she's keeping under wraps, kind of an open secret. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but it's something that she's paying a lot of attention to, or her responsibilities, whatever they may be, with the Allbreakers. As long as you don't interfere with either of those two things, you should have no reason to make an enemy of Dr. Mordenheim. That said, if you do make an enemy of Dr. Mordenheim, his advice is to leave the city as quickly as you can. Get out of Lamordia. These are not... The university is not an enemy that you want.
On the way and never return.
I look at Victor very, very hard. I say, Victor, are you going to behave yourself?
Well, Van Richten points out that Evie was the one who was threatening to go in there and kill everybody.
Is there a pot lying around that Victor can hold up?
There's a chamber pot on the floor.
Chamber pot calling the kettle black.
I am not the person who threatens everyone we meet.
Yes, you do. We attack everybody because of you.
Well, nobody should be threatening anybody throughout the course of these meetings.
Well, to be fair, oh God, I hope they don't. GD says, I hope they don't speak Darkanese.
There is work that can only be done in the lion's den. Looking at Genie. A very delicate matter in place here, requiring the lion's expertise, but you are in the lion's den now.
Yeah.
It's not
As
too
long
late
as
to
the
turn
lions-
back
Nah,
and return to safety.
it's fine.
As
Come
long
this
as the
far
lions
already.
don't try to eat us, we'll be fine.
We already made the trip. Victor, be quiet. No, you're fine. I'm just.
And he nods. And we shall retire for the night and approach together in the morning.
Okay.
We reserved a room for you.
He's
Your
grateful.
private quarters.
So, Victor, Edmont, Evie, Ekon. So, I don't think. Are all of you going to be in the waiting room and watching this, or what?
Absolutely.
Orson's here as well,
I'm
don't
not.
forget.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
Orson's
not
here.
leaving. I'm not leaving you to for some mad scientist to play with your innards.
Sheenie pulls out. Sheenie takes the bandolier off of her chest, and she pulls out 4 scrolls of fireball and hands them to Ekon.
Back on
This is
Chuck.
exactly what Van Richten just said not to do.
I mean,
In our defense,
listen to me. Listen to me. She says, if Ekon is the one that I trust the most, where if stuff has to be blown up, and Ekon is at the point where he's blowing things up,
didn't Ekon just try and set a city wall on fire last week?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
That was
Right.
nearly a month ago.
that's but that's he does not have a pattern. There's not a pattern. It's like Ekon is one-offs where he loses his temper. He has a shown pattern of moderated responses. So if he feels that the response required is to lob, how many fireballs can you throw unassisted?
Around a dozen.
Plus 4 fireballs.
If that's not enough, I think we're probably in a lot of trouble.
Then I want him to have if he's at the point where he needs to throw a dozen fireballs, I would like him to have 4 more. So I'm gonna mark these 4 off. If you feel like giving them back, if you don't use them later, you can.
So Genie and Ekon are both sharing the fireballs.
Yeah. So so Genie currently has 5 fireballs scrolls.
Okay.
So plus the 2 she can cast on her own.
Let's go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest for tonight. In the morning, Van Richten's dressed in slightly dressier attire than you've seen him in to this point. He was wearing his his clothes from the road yesterday. He knows that Edmont, or that 2 of you, maybe he doesn't know it was Edmont and Victor specifically, but he knows some of you went to the university. But he kind of pointedly asked, like, you've only been to, like, the commons areas, right? The lounges, the courtyards, some of
Agreed, yes.
the pathways. He tells you that this morning, the lot of us are going to be taken down into one of the department buildings. And as none of us are students in any sort of standing, they're going to require us to disarm. Now,
That's fine.
he's bringing this up now because he knows that the Veritas brood can be a volatile bunch. But
Are they
weaponry,
going to require me to relinquish my holy symbol?
almost certainly. Unless you have some way to unless you convince them that it's not a magical item. they're going to see it as something that you can use to cast spells and ask that you relinquish it. Ludendorff, in particular, is extremely mistrustful of what you may hear called the religious sciences.
Here, Ekon, and Jeannie hands you the bag of holding.
There's going to be a storeroom with a locked door where they will place weapons, magical items, devices, these sort of things. My advice is to relinquish them and do so honestly.
Okay. The only thing Jeannie keeps, Jeannie will load her. She says, "I'm going to put all my stuff in the bag of holding." That is, which for Jeannie is her arcane firearm, and she just carries a dagger. That's it.
Is anybody going to try to conceal a weapon or magic item or spell focus?
Victor will happily hand over his ordinary dagger.
Evie will pull the knife out of her sheath, and then she will pull the other knife out of her other sheath. Then she'll pull one out of her left sleeve. Then she'll pull one out of her right sleeve. She'll pull out the one strapped to her left thigh, the one strapped to her right thigh, the one in her left boot, the one in her right boot, and then she fishes down the front of her corset and pulls out her last knife.
What about the other ones?
I think that's all of her knives.
Ekon will keep one or two of his. Well, Ekon will keep his scroll case on him unless they specifically tell him not to.
Okay. Well, when you guys get to the university, I'm trying to get my Immiger to load up the university map again, and there it goes. It wasn't cooperating with me.
Just to be clear, like I do want this known. Jeannie is bringing. The only thing Jeannie is keeping is her tinker tools.
Okay.
She can cast spells using her tinker tools.
Well, they're not going to pat you down or strip search you or anything.
Right, but like she's just got like a pouch on it's not a pouch, but it's like a hip box or of some kind that's got her tinker's tools in it. So it's like her tools, but she just to be aware, like she can use those to cast her spells.
Okay. The Speculative Anatomy Department of the University of Ludendorff is primarily underground. One of the outlying buildings. It doesn't have much in the way of a public face. Probably because speculative anatomy is very, very gross. Primarily what they deal with is what is the process of the human form and how far can it be stretched? They like things like mutations, amputations, changes in bodily form due to magic are very interesting. Reversing those changes would be a very, very good field of study for this kind of department. But their interest in that sort of thing, for example, like say curing leprosy or some other terrible bodily ailment, purely academic for this department.
They'd like the information, but their goal is it's the learning the information. It's not the actually finding the cure.
Correct.
Victor is absolutely fascinated by all this and asks questions the whole way down.
So the man that you meet there is Mueller Brahms, and he's one of the students in the department. He absolutely loathes Emanuel Schulberg. He agrees with Emanuel's positions and thinks along the same lines of the department's works. He just hates hearing the man talk.
To be fair, we're in agreement on that.
It like insult you 5 times in one sentence.
Do you tell
Also,
Mueller that you two were the ones that like tried to pull a coin out from behind his ear and
Well,
whatnot?
that was my cousin who did that.
Why would we tell him that? Oh, especially because we're dressed totally differently now.
Are you telling Mueller that is my question? Because he knows that somebody tried to disrupt Mueller's lecture the other day.
Why not?
Victor's not.
Edmont will.
Then in that case, Mueller thinks it's hilarious.
Gotta learn how to read people, Victor.
You're led down several layers of stairs, and You don't see anything gross or unnerving. There's not blood seeping from beneath the doors. There's not like gobs of hair crawling along the walls. But some of the doors that you all pass, some of the halls. Well, I guess first of all, you're led through the room where they ask you to relinquish your equipment as a safety measure. They put it into a safe for you. They hand one of you the key to carry with you. Who wants it?
Are they? Is it just weapons, or is it weapons? And I'm assuming Jeannie's gonna have to take her armor off, but
Weapons,
like,
magic items, and spell focuses are their concern. You can wear armor if you want. That's not a danger.
Is that going
to
to break
anyone else.
attunement?
No, it won't do anything to break attunement.
They want me to like give up the headband I'm wearing.
Unless for some reason the item specifically says attunement will be broken if you remove it. But I don't think that's the case with anything you have. But yeah, any magic items you guys are wearing or carrying, they can tell what's magical and what's not.
okay. Well,
I'll give up everything because I'm trusting Van Richten.
Van Richten gives up everything too, and he has a sword cane, and I think his glasses are magical, and I think he's got
Probably
like
has more stuff than we do.
a medallion. He pulls off his boots. He has a couple of things.
Yeah, I'll give up everything that they asked me to give up.
Jeannie.
Pulls the band off of his wrist, takes the X-ray ring off, whips his cloak off. The
Jeannie
one that
takes-
Jeannie made for him.
Basically, aside from his boots, just has his holy symbol.
Okay.
And places his whip on top of all of that.
So Ekon's walking around barefoot. Jeannie takes her earring out, and she pulls a necklace off and puts it in there.
Okay.
Like I said, I am keeping my scroll case. If they detect magic on me, the scrolls will radiate magic.
Then they will, because detect magic isn't even a spell in this game. It's just something people can do.
Yeah, I'll add the scroll case.
Wow,
Then
you're
I'll
trying to see
Genie.
5 fireball scrolls.
I guess
I really-
Jeannie- yeah,
I really need a lead-lined scroll case when you get a chance.
that's a really good idea. I'll put that down. Like, we'll put that down as part, because Jeannie has a scroll case bandolier that she wears. I guess she'll hand that over too. I forgot about that.
Okay.
Victor will hand over his sniper's eye, his short bow, his dagger. He'll ask if he can keep the decanter of water though, in case he gets thirsty.
No, it's a magic item. They can
Fine.
they can
What
send
a-
somebody to fetch water for you if you want.
Nice to meet the TSA inside of Ravenloft.
The structure of the place, the basement levels when you go down. Like I say, you don't see anything gross. They're not just body parts laying around. You don't hear screams or moans through the walls. Nonetheless, there's something very clinical about the place. You walk down long corridors with doors only along one side. You've come down a stairwell one end and walk through this long corridor to descend a stairwell at the next. And you do this 3 or 4 times, switching back in different directions. You don't see another soul the whole time that Mueller is leading you down. He's illuminating the halls with his lantern that he's carrying ahead of him. And he comes to a nondescript door on the 3rd or 4th layer down, and you can see the stairs in front of you continue down even further than that. But he leads you to one of the nondescript doors on the left-hand side, fishes out a key, opens it up, and inside is a very comfortable-looking sitting room with a sofa, a decanter of water, a nice rug on the floor, some nondescript tapestries along the walls, a bouquet of probably fake flowers. And he leads you all inside.
Walk in.
He asks if Van Richten will step out and converse with him for just a moment. He's going to inform the doctor that you all have arrived. And she's just going to come in, essentially ask some questions about the your family habitat back where you live, the circumstances you come from, especially the sorts of magic that you use. And when she's satisfied, she and Eugenia will leave with each other in order for the examination to begin. This is all acceptable? He asks.
Yeah.
Evie
Sounds
looks
reasonable.
Evie looks very uncomfortable.
Your call, Evie. Your party.
And if I may
Seems
say, Eugenia, we're going to do everything that we can to help you, but you're also doing the university a great service by traveling all this way. So I would like to extend my gratitude to you.
Well, I'm glad that the situation is beneficial in some way. Hopefully, at the end of this, we can reverse whatever's done, and then I can go on about my life. And if we can't, well, I'll just learn to live with it.
Mueller nods. He seems to appreciate the stiff upper lip mentality. Doctor, if you please. Van Richten stands up. Says, I'll just be a moment. I'll return as soon as I can. He and Mueller leave the room, step outside. The door closes. And you hear the lock click over.
Nope.
And then you hear the hiss of gas.
Don't like this.
Yep.
Okay, so how quickly can Victor try and pick a lock?
That's an excellent question for next week. We're going to go ahead and call it there while you all are in the room getting gassed.
I hate that.
Went ahead and pasted a straw poll link into the chat. I'm going to take 2 minutes and go. I don't have any. I had some combat planned for this session, but we didn't go that direction. That's okay. There's always room for more combat later. So I'm going to step away for just 2 minutes while you guys start talking about some blips. I will be right back.
It was most creative today.
Let's see. I'm gonna put Genie up for listen, I don't want you to feel like this is rewarding bad behavior. But I had to reason out, I had to basically talk my way through the escape of that the munitions factory.
You didn't blow up the entire factory, yes. You found a creative way to get out with minimal casualties.
I'll put that forward. The escape for the the escape plan from the munitions factory.
Oh, like you said, it's like I hate to reward bad behavior, but
It's not. I don't think it's bad behavior.
you would. Who for the party's goals the most today? Not Genie.
I'm gonna put Victor forward for the whole uncovering the flesh selling.
I feel like Victor has been a dog with a bone on the flesh selling thing. So that was what, party goals?
Yeah.
Who was a badass?
Let me see.
Trying to think if there's somebody other than Genie for that one. Like I want to give it to Genie for like intangibles and badass because she did exactly what we said do not do.
I want to give that to Edmont for just being the wingman for the episode. I think Edmont did a wonderful job at keeping everybody he was with on task.
You mean preventing Victor from going downstairs
and getting you showed
Leadership.
you showed leadership potential, and you listen, we need to get out of here. I don't like this. Somebody standing over in the corner, you doing semaphore with red flags.
Got the dudes with the meat cleavers over there. It's like, today is Friday in California. Edmont is not, huh? Oh.
And for intangibles, I want to give it to
Do we give that to Evie for being Cassandra?
For being what?
I don't know what you mean by that.
For being the Cassandra.
You lost me on that one.
Yeah.
No, that is the person who warns everyone that something bad is going to happen and is ignored.
Oh, from Greek myth. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, who got ignored?
Evie.
If you really warned us, we're all known terrible things are happening.
Nothing terrible happened. What do you mean?
Not yet.
I
Everything's
think
fine.
only terrible things have happened since we've gotten here. This is the worst place we've been to so far.
Really? That's saying
You
something.
say that Brick Road works hard to make it not true.
I didn't work hard on this at all. This is straight out of the book. This is all printed material. I didn't have to do much of anything to make Ludendorff awful.
Thanks, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman.
Did they write this?
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, the whole thing with
Baby girl.
I like it because the Ravenloft book, the Van Richten's guide that they published, has like a whole section up front about like types of horror that might be inappropriate for D&D, and like you've got to be really careful about like everybody's comfort zones and things. But then you like read the book, like, yeah, they're just selling flesh rights, and you can like just sell your cadaver to people and then they murder you. It's like it's almost like a big trigger warning in the book. Like, warning, this book, like, don't do horror. Horror is mean. And then the whole book is just awful horror stuff.
The meanest possible horror you could get. Yeah.
And I think Lamordia is probably in terms of like body horror might be the worst.
So the comic that I'm reading, like, it's got Victra. She's like one of the main characters in it, and it's about there's this little girl that wakes up and she doesn't have any memory, and Victor's like, I found you and I fixed and I healed you. Please don't take your bandages off. Blah blah blah, and this, and like it's like they have this abusive codependent relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells her, don't go outside because there's a construct out there that's evil and mean, and she'll hurt you.
I want to read this comic.
It's called the Orphan. I keep saying Organ. The Orphan of Agony Isle.
So the
And
adventure suggestion that the book gives for what to do, like to include Victor Mordenheim in an adventure, is to do like a body swap episode, and like all the characters like just wake up in each other's bodies.
God.
Just I wake up in Evie's body.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Like,
Oh no.
That would be hilarious.
Wow.
Oh no.
I was a little stunned to read that in this book because it's like that's not like given how much importance modern D&D players and the community put on like player agency and whatnot, like that's a big breach of like social contract in that sense. Anyway, that's not the adventure we're doing. It's the one the book says I should have done. Or is it? How would you know?
Well, we are getting gas. Who knows how we're going to wake up?
Yeah, who knows what's gonna happen after we get gas?
Who wants to make a case for some blips this week?
I can go.
Is that Jeannie that said that first?
Yeah. It is.
All right.
Uh,
You didn't do anything important.
so chaotic neutral. When in doubt, go with your gut. For her, just an almost instinctual dislike of the way things are done and how industrialization is used in Lamordia.
Mm-hmm.
She finds the place very distasteful, and she actually like legitimately wants to be done with the place as quickly as possible. Which is why, like, towards the end, she was like, let's just sit in the room and just wait for this to be over.
Yeah, your idyllic little mountain village doesn't look so bad now, does it?
Paradise comparison. In comparison.
I mean, Jeannie likes nature well enough. She grew up in the mountains. It's just like she doesn't like the wastefulness of Lamordia, I guess. Ideals, practical solutions to impractical problems. For the just okay, so for like, okay, listen, this place is messed up, but it's not our problem. The practical solution to this is just to ignore it and finish our business and leave.
Turn a blind eye to the plight of the people of Ludendorff.
Yeah, the people of Ludendorff are like willfully doing this. It's not our place to to do anything about it. We don't live here. They don't.
I mean, the peasants don't have any they have no agency. in
Yeah,
this.
Victor disagrees with
This
that.
is just what you do, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, I know it's fine, but like that's just what Jeannie's
That's
opinion
why
on
it's
it
a
is.
practical solution to an impractical problem.
Yeah. And flaws, don't worry about it. It was just a setback. Jeannie has a book now that she got totally legitimately and with no repercussions whatsoever.
Well, I mean, you stole it, and then 3 men were killed.
They were
You paid
probably
for it in blood.
listen. If you like, me, the player, I recognize that those men died for Jeannie's crime. Jeannie's view of it is they signed their flesh rights away to this lamp company. They were going to be killed anyway. This was just the pretense they used. They were probably already going to be killed.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, man.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I mean, you're probably not wrong, but
Well, you gotta remember, like Jeannie's
He's a sociopath. Yes, we get it.
no, Jeannie is her approach to like horrific things so far has just been denial. So
Away.
yeah, and that's in the video from last week.
okay. I was going to make everybody who attended that execution make that horror check, except for
That-
Jeannie.
Jeannie,
And except for Edmont, because Edmont is the only player in the group who's an evil character. Like, an evil character would be able to just rationalize that away
yeah.
in a non-horrific way.
So like, but that's why Jeannie didn't go. She didn't need to go. It's like, well, they were going to die anyway, so this is just useful to me.
Also, who wants to watch that? It's like, it's gross.
Yeah. Also, yeah. Like, it's not.
It's gross.
Watch a man
This-
get
We've watched
wild.
like 5 or 6 hangings already. I don't need.
Yeah,
I don't need something even more horrific.
because we have to find out who's responsible for their death besides Jeannie.
Who wants to go next?
Victor can.
Victor.
So alignment, chaotic neutral, whatever it takes. That would be willing to go to the edge of signing over flesh rights to get more information until Edmont pulled him away. For ideal, seek the truth no matter the cost. That would be attending the execution to secure information about who owns the flesh rights and find out who is probably responsible for their murder.
That would have been a really bad horror check to fail. That would have been the time to not fail a horror check.
And then flaw values knowledge over people. That would be ignoring the request to stay away from the university.
Yeah, that's pretty much the literal definition of it.
Yeah. So what would have happened if I had failed the horror check?
I don't see a way around the fact that you would have just been horrified by Jeannie. And depending on, well, how many have you failed? Let me
Like
take a look
2.
here. I've
2
got
or
you down as
3?
fail as 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah, which means you're in the lead right now. So like you're at the point where failing horror checks is going to have psychological repercussions on Victor's character.
Victor's already having psychological repercussions.
Yeah, that would be a tricky horror check to work. I would have to have you and Treble like discuss how we could, in a socially acceptable way, roleplay the fact that Victor just can't stomach being around Jeannie anymore, knowing that she's completely willing to just murder people to get what she wants. Fortunately, you passed it, so
Yay.
Jeannie does not
We
make
don't have
you.
to think about that.
I mean, you maybe should still think about it a little bit.
Yeah,
Is
maybe
it-
a little bit.
Is it okay to hang out with your friends who are murderers? Or is Jeannie even a murderer? Maybe it's not her fault.
No, it's absolutely her fault.
Who wants to go next?
I can go.
I'll go.
I heard Evie first.
Alignment, chaotic good. I shall do my duty, but I will always be true to myself for looking after Jeannie, being concerned about her welfare, and ultimately doing what she thought was in Jeannie's best interest, even though she was uncomfortable with it. Ideal, I must become a leader others can believe in, for kind of trying to ease off the reins a little after all the arguments and just let everyone do their own thing, even though they all screwed up.
I like how that was qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm willing
And-
to give the leash some slack, but then look what happened.
And then, Flaw, no one understands for saying, let's keep a low profile, and then they go announce, we're with House Veritas.
No one understands.
No one understands. I could not have picked that flaw better. I feel like so much of the conflict around Evie is just people deliberately misunderstanding her.
Deliberately?
Deliberately.
Okay.
At least in Victor's case, it's deliberate.
I think Victor's case is a disagreement, not a misunderstanding. I think Victor understands perfectly well. I heard Edmont next.
Yeah, I've got my alignment lawful evil. Blood runs thicker than water. My own blood thicker still. But listen, Victor, I'm getting some real heebie-jeebie vibes. We need to get the hell out of here now.
Like I said, there's a man in the corner with red flags just doing semaphore. Like, leave the way you came in.
Yep. I have my ideal life as my canvas, and I'll make my mark on it for making drawings in a place where he probably shouldn't be making drawings.
People thought that was weird, yeah.
And my flaw, this world is filled with predators and prey, and I sure as hell am not the prey. For, yeah, I had it and then it vanished.
No?
I've got. I need a second to reorganize my thoughts. Trouble made me. I blame Trouble.
We're always just all blaming Treble now?
Yeah,
What did I do?
you broke my
Apparently you existed.
concentration.
What does Ekon have for me?
I've got Lawful Good, the Shining Words of Air lay down a path for us all for keeping an eye on Evie and Eugenia at the munitions plant, noting that if we only gave points for ideas that succeeded, we would never get any.
Yeah.
And Flaw, I'm sure there has to be something good just over the next hill for his great plan to go and introduce ourselves to the whole Duke.
That's what it was. Now I recall it.
Your flaw plays into that too?
Not quite, but Edmont's flaw is being the one willing to. No, wait, not this one. Is listen. Would you have preferred I left Victor to his own devices? That's when I went with Victor to when I was Edmont volunteering to be Victor's chaperone for the week.
So are you claiming your flaw for being Victor's chaperone?
Yeah, because come on now, Victor keeps opening his mouth. He's gonna get shit in an alley or something.
I mean, if Victor had been alone and he had decided to go down into the bowels of the university, I would have had to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10...
It would have been a 10.
Because yeah, the thing about Ludendorff University is you got to be careful because you don't know which door you walk through will be the one you can't walk back out of.
Yeah.
Was this the one we can't walk back out of?
Well, clearly we're getting gassed.
We're gonna try.
You don't know what kind of gas it is. It might
Could
be
be
Usually
gas.
it's good.
Detect poison doesn't have material components.
It's
We still need
happy
our.
gas, where you get just very the happiest.
Maybe the air
Nothing
conditioner
bad
just
ever
kicked
happens.
on. Who had the most creative solution to a problem?
I
Genie.
put forth Genie for having to explain, like what the whole explanation of what do you have and how do you use it to get out of this awful situation that you've been put in through no fault of your own.
You only get it because you got out without killing anybody.
Well, Jeannie specifically said she was using like vortex warp to move people out of the way. So I thought it would have been irresponsible to have her just kill somebody.
Yeah.
Vortex Warp.
Although she did kill 3 men.
Dude, Genie does not claim that.
No, but who did the most to further the party's goals?
That was
Victor.
Victor for the The
Running down
delving, yeah, he ran down the most on the flesh right stuff
Okay.
for sure. Like he was the dog with that bone.
So is
sure.
that the party's goal? Is to figure out like this fleshlight stuff?
I think it's Victor's goal, and then possibly maybe Evie's. Like that's something that they want. Like I feel like it's the goal in so much as it's probably going to become relevant for what happens next.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like if that becomes like the main, like we need to stop this flesh right nonsense, like there's going to be some discord because Genie's gonna be like, no, we're going to leave. Like this isn't our city. We have no right to do that.
Victor's goal is to find out where the center of this whole flesh rights thing is, and if it's possible to stop it.
I honestly, like, I can't speak for Ekon, but Genie would probably assume that Ekon would side with her because it is like a lawful thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think-
until they murder you for it.
I mean, I think
But-
that's
One
more.
finds it personally.
It's
very
a
offensive.
lawful evil thing. Ekon is lawful good.
Right. But well, that's just like in the dichotomy. Are you more lawful or are you more good?
Well, the whole flesh rights thing, like it's the kind of thing that if it wasn't published in the book, I would question on whether or not I should include it. Because
Yeah.
it's real squicky, but like, hey, if it's published in the book, gonna run with
Uh,
it. Who was the badass?
That was Edmont for being a very strong chaperone this session.
Edmont was a good babysitter. He's been a good babysitter the whole campaign. Like that was his job back in Brennanine.
Yeah, and like I appreciate like the fact that McDohl is willing to babysit characters, but also has developed his own. Like he's developed a stronger voice for Edmont, a more like he's much more willing to put his foot down.
He's much more wolfy.
He's much more woefully willing to put his foot down.
And what about intangibles?
Intangibles. That was that Evie?
Yeah, I guess we'll go to Evie.
For
Keeping her Ruby on a leash this time.
And Evie also has our straw poll for the week.
Eh,
All right, so blips are currently worth 500. Edmont earned 6. You're rolling over 4. No, I'm sorry. You have 6. You earned 4. You're rolling all 4 of them over. I misspoke there.
500.
Ekon had 0 and earned 2.
Yep.
Evie, you're rolling over 5. Genie, you're rolling over 5. And Victor, you have 3 and earned 4, so you're rolling over at least 1.
Yeah, I feel like I may need 6 blips next time.
You might. We'll see how it goes.
See, I, on the other hand, only need 1 blip because I am rolling over 5 of them, and that puts me at a level.
Oh, okay, so you're leveling up. What's your reputation for this level? Are you taking a level of monk? As is your
Yes.
want?
Yeah. As far as my reputation goes, I'll have to think on that over
Well,
the week.
will you though? Because I feel like there was a very strong Edmont development regarding his werewolf side.
yeah, but aren't reputations public knowledge?
Yes, but these reputations have a way of getting out even if you try to guard them. Such is the nature of Ravenloft.
I think we like getting out that he's a werewolf.
I mean, it's Edmont's choice.
Yeah, I'll let him. He can think about him.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just hard to word that in such an ambiguous way that it would be, like maybe he's a werewolf. Who knows?
Just
Likes to play
werewolf
fetch.
question mark. All right, thanks for playing, guys. That's gonna do it for this week. I'm gonna go order me up some sandwiches. I think we will probably be off for next week, but if we're not, I will let everybody know what's going on.
All
That's
right.
it. Thanks so much.
Good luck traveling.
Thank you.